Good evening, all of you. Sheryl Sandberg, COO of Facebook, has said this: you will be defined not just by what you achieve, but by how you survive. When we talk about surviving, it's all about learning and developing ourselves. So that's precisely what we are going to discuss in our session today: future of learning and development. I'm Shreya Prabhu from WiTalks, your host for this evening, welcoming all our viewers for the 32nd episode of WiTalk series. Our guest for today believes in building human centric, positive, and flourishing organizations. Now, what sets her apart from all other business leaders out there is she aims to do this with the mind of a transformer and heart of a healer. Let me tell you, she has been super successful in this journey of transformation. I take immense pleasure to introduce all of you to this dynamic and multifaceted personality, Carmistha Mitra, who comes with a vast experience of 25 years in FMCG, IT, consulting, manufacturing, and financial services industry. Currently, she is the Senior VP HR and Group CLO of Axis Bank and Subsidiaries. And now comes one of the highlights of her achievement. She has recently been accorded as CLO of the Year by Business World. Now, let me tell you more about her career. She has been part of the business management with Tata Unisys and Hindustan Unilever, head corporate HR at Mahindra and Mahindra, general manager HR at Coca-Cola, head of HR process transformation and change management, Hewitt Association Vertex Data Sciences, director HR at Samsung SWA regional headquarters. Wow, that talks about her experiences, right? Talking about her professional qualifications, she has got master degrees in mathematics from University of Calcutta, management education program from IIMB, Mahindra Universe program from Harvard and MIT, certified NLP practitioner from Stanford, USA. Now, what I can't miss mentioning is something that is close to her heart and what she's passionate about. She is a well-being artisan, a change catalyst, has been a leadership transformer and organizational strategist. So, without much ado, let me call Carmistha Mitra. She's already here. Thank you so much, Carmistha, for being here. So,
Thank you,
I
Shreya.
welcome you once again from Vite's side. And before I ask anything else, what actually interested me is something that I read about you, and that's on top of my mind. So I want to ask this as the first question or the first thing that I want to know from you, something that is very close to your heart. Want to know your view on well-being artisan. What exactly do you have to say about that?
Mm. The one that is closest to your heart is the most difficult one to describe. But thanks for asking me that question. I think I have discovered this over a period of time. So, and especially so in the last, I think, couple of years, I think pandemic has essentially been a big discovery for me, the importance and the power of it in people's lives. But to talk about the journey a little bit personally before that, so when I realized well-being works. So this started almost a decade back, once I lost both my parents in quick succession, and both of them almost gave us no time. Um, that's when, the first, I would say, discovery of self pain, it just sort of hit me. And I realized the importance of self well being that time between 2007, 9, and 10. By the time I hit 10, I realized I have to do something about it. So I started off with meditation. I started looking for it, and as it so happens, when you are ready, the universe conspires. So my journey for meditation started, and that journey got intensified over a period of time. I was always a yoga practitioner since 1999. I have been doing yoga, and Levers taught us this as a part of a management program, in 1999. And I've been practicing that anyways. Then I added this to myself. And as the journey progressed in my own self growth, you can say, I also discovered the healing that it brings to us when you also start giving to others in whichever small way. So, first I adopted a girl child to an NGO. Then I moved it forward to some other, social projects on, let's say, tree plantation. Then I moved that beyond to some other social projects, which is about hunger eradication and so on and so forth. So as I myself, so the light in this office room I have to move, otherwise it goes. So if you see me moving this gesture, so that's when I just discovered, and then in the last pandemic, then we launched a positive program called Stay Positive with some of our very critical managers who are, and we know we are a bank, so we are an essential services. So we did this with a layer of people who really were managing teams, who are really the front enders. Um, we launched a Stay Positive program for them. So the journey almost for well-being, rounded up for me. And we being a bank, of course, we understand the power of financial well-being. So for me, well-being is coming of many things together. So it is really about emotional well-being. It is about physical well-being. It is about mental well-being. It is also financial well-being and also social well-being. So I think that's how this journey of well-being actually I discovered in a way over the last decade. And today, of course, there are lots of researches on this which is coming up. But I have gone through the discovering process to say this is what really truly well-being means. And some of us who are in a spiritual journey, we know the power of spiritual well-being as well, which sort of encapsulates all the rest beautifully. So that's what well-being means for me. It is about taking care of self and taking care of others around you. And when we take care of our own selves holistically, then we can take care of our family, then we can take care of our teams, our organization, and then the larger society. And anyone whom we touch can feel this presence and this love, which comes from this holistic approach of many forms of well-being for self. So it requires a little bit of effort, but if we know how to make it happen, it becomes a part of life.
That's again, I mean, I should say that I'm inspired when I hear you say this. And I can see the way you talk and the way you put it across. Definitely, I would like to take that leaf from your book and from your, experiences. It definitely makes sense for all of us to first focus on our own self-being, as rightly said by you. Understand your self-worth, right? And yes, unfortunately, probably that started on a journey, like on this journey because of the loss that you had. But I think you started this long back. When I heard about you talking about yoga practitioner and what you have been doing from so many years, it says a lot about what you have been doing in that space, right? And all the well-beings that you mentioned, spiritual well-being, emotional well-being, mental well-being, so very important for us in this world nowadays when we talk about ambiguity, when we talk about certain changes in our lives, right? Right. Thank you so much for that question, for that right up right in the front when I put that question. Talking about
And
your
thank
career
you for
and your
asking that question, Shreya. I mean, these are the questions I just love to answer. So thanks for energizing me with that as we started.
yeah, it was there right on the top of my mind when I heard about it and that you're passionate about it. I knew that I had to ask you and understand it for myself, right? And I'm sure our viewers definitely will learn a lot from that. Moving on to the next one, with your vast experience, I would like to learn or hear about more about your journey in this 25 years that you have been there in the corporate world. How has your journey been? We have heard about your discovery of this, well-being side. Anything else particularly that you want to share with our viewers?
Wow. So this is like, again, a journey doesn't seem like 25 plus years. I can still see the first day that, all this started. But as with many stories in many of our lives, so my life may everything is a story. So I was, all slated to go abroad, and after finishing my postgrad in mathematics, I was to go abroad and doing my master's and PhD in computer science, which most of my friends did. And this was a year when Babri Masjid demolition happened, so results first got delayed, and so we had to go for the autumn, etc. And that's when I met my now life partner in between that period of 3 to 4 months extra time. So I thought, let me go and do some internship work in the meantime. Why waste time for 4 5 months? And that's when I sort of met him, and all my plans actually got changed. So I had to rework on my career choices, just because I realized the life partner choice is such an important one, and and if I have found the right one there, so I just sort of changed my course. A lot of people can't think about it. My mom couldn't. For 2 months, she was very, very unhappy. And here I had really toiled hard. 17 hours I worked to do my postgrad well, and also the GRE well. But then I said, okay, so let go has never been difficult. So then I took a bet, a different career choice. So that's when I reworked on my career. So then I joined as a management trainee, incidentally with a technology company, Data Unisys. And once I'd done that for a while, I had the FMCG bug hit me. So I said, no, I want to do this. And those days, no one would take someone from a technology company to an FMCG company. So they said, what do you have? And not only did I have the bug, I wanted to work for, Unilever, because Kaushik, who is my husband, was leading some rock star projects for them. I said, I wish I could work for this company. But they say when you have dreams and you aspire for it, the universe conspires. So I almost did not get through the Unilever interview because they said you just don't even qualify with technology. We look someone for FMCG, that to mid career, not happening. And we're setting up a new business. I said, okay, now I'm here. Let's just speak. So we just spoke, and they hired one person from the 10 that discarded me, who was the 10th one, actually got hired eventually. So for that role. So that's how, my the business journey continued likewise in technology and FMCG. And then I was by the time mother of two kids. So while I was enjoying myself thoroughly, and was traveling 25 days a month, I got calls from my children's school. They went to one of the best schools in India called Sri Ram School.
Oh,
But it's a very caring school. But the good thing about the school, and I also made that choice consciously, that they were not essentially would bug the children for marks, but their main focus was to develop them as good human beings. And they would keep an eye on the children in case they saw something is going wrong. So my son was in class 3, my daughter was in upper KG, and I kept getting calls from both their schools. No, one is play school. There is something not right with the children. And those days, when I was traveling a lot of people would ask me, my friends, my family, are you sure this is okay? What you're doing? You're away from home. I said, see, the day I know it's impacting my children, I'll not even bat an eyelid. And I did not. So the moment I got to know over 2 months conversation in way back in 2003 that it's impacting them, so I just took a call. I'm going to not continue with this, but not sacrifice and do something where I can build on further. So my life has been all, universe conspiring. So I did get a role, a beautiful role, where I could really lead business transformation, which was business and culture transformation, which also has the HR aspect of it, had the HR aspect of it. And this was the role that I enjoyed the most, was in the way on Hewitt. And they were looking for some business person who can do this role for them while it was sitting in HR. So that's how my journey started without knowing much about HR after 12, 13 years of being in business. And then I had some beautiful experiences of being at the right place at the right time. And here I am today. So that's how the trajectory of life has been. I learned so much from my business roles. I learned so much. And in the initial parts of a career, for a month or two, I even actually visited people's houses and had conversations. So right from there till all aspects of business and all kinds of industries explored. So I think that I learned by doing and experiencing and impulsing. So I think this multiple exposures which came to me at the right time, and I'm very loyal to the organization when I'm there. Very very loyal. But then there does come a time when I know that I have grown a little bit, and at times the organization may not have space for you if you have grown a little bit. Whatever, faster or whatever. That time, many a time they would say, "Shabita, slow down, kar." And so that's how my journey has been. And then opportunities kept coming. Sometimes I would say, no, 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 I'm not willing to leave. I've gone to organizations and said, no, 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 I'm not joining. I love this place and all. But then when it was time, I got pulled out and pulled in somewhere else. So that's how life has been. My favorite song is मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. So that song by Devanand, and of course written by Shahid Ludhianvi or whoever. So that's how life has been. So that's why I don't know when this 25 plus years passed. But what helped me was a little bit of external help, and also knowing what is it that I'm looking for at that point in time, and build my own career really, not really having to rely on others to help you build your own career. And I think that's been exciting.
Wow. Again, your strength that you exude in your talk and personality. I think that all these things come from all those conscious choices that you made. And even when probably things didn't work out as per the original plan, what everyone else also had along with you, but still you had it in you. I think that confidence that you had in yourself, somewhere it comes out, right? The clarity of what you wanted to do and making those right choices, that proves to be the one which kept you going. And here we are facing one of the business leaders, right? And that's where it's truly inspiring to know the journey, ups and downs, everything about it. So knowing moving on, there has been another point in your, when I spoke about you, and I know that you are very close to the change as a change catalyst, right? You have always been a change catalyst. So my next question is very close to this part. What are some of the major challenges you faced in pivoting towards this digital learning and training, especially with the changes that are happening around us? Now at Axis, what are the new innovative learning methods that exist, and how are you? What are your thoughts on that?
See, I think the biggest change that we had to drive here is to institutionalize, a learning culture to start with. And when we joined the bank is about 75-80,000 people. And I joined at a time when there was a new MD, and he had a lot of focus being a knowledge industry in this space. And he had just in every quarterly meeting, he would talk about my existence. And that was enough to put enough pressure on you, but great sponsorship as well. And hence it gave us a great sense of responsibility. So I think I've always believed, and we really had some systems and processes in place, but the expectations were here where we were till here. So change is, I think, a lot more about building the right relations, building trust in people through our conversations and communication, and then move forward very fast and quickly and in an agile manner and deliver to the promises that you're making to people, which is enabling you to build trust. So I think that's the first important aspect of change post sponsorships. It's very hard to drive change if there's no sponsorship. And that's like 60-70% of the work done. And it's only another 20-30% we have to get right. So I think those were really the first set of things. When it comes to new ways, so first, also, I joined the bank at a time, and within 6, 7 months, pandemic hit us. And we had to move from completely for this 80,000 people and to from an offline to an online mode with a mandate. And we had sort of got a sign off of a very strategic plan of a 2-year journey for 50,000 people, which is also linked to performance, productivity, as well as career. That's why the sponsorship, right? Give us something in return. It's not a good to do thing. So, and each business, we have like multiple businesses and multiple verticals to get it right for all of them. So first was that story, but I have a fantastic team, and it is really a matter of how your team can do at times extraordinary stuff and they surprise themselves. So first focus was that coming together, going to every minutest details and make the transition from offline to online and for 80,000 people. And we know how we went back to like almost school ke classes mein, kaun se we liked, kaun se we did not like. Then we had to make this whole BILT model, of learning playful. So we say learning is an infotainment for us. So learning as an infotainment. Let's have happy classrooms. So that was the first thing that we focused on as we made this transition. And we also said we work as a diamond, which is the learner first, then the HR team, then the business team, as well as our external partners. Each one of us are a part of it. And we ensured that each one of them felt a part. So then we were successful in happy classrooms. So I remember when we started this journey last year, we were on an average clocking about, let's say, a feedback score to say the least was about 4.51. Today those feedback scores have moved up on an average to 4.83, 4.85. Maybe we started even lower. So significant shift with so many thousands of people, different channels, different experiences, different businesses. So something is working there, right, with the teams. And I don't know, beyond a point, some great stuff that they're creating, which is amazing. I just feel I could get their good work out to be communicated even more and more. Then the digital one, what we said is, we must create digital assets ourselves, create and curate. Then the next thing is we are embarking on is social learning and also mentoring platforms. And we also have introduced, game-based assessments. Assessment is big in the bank because how do you drive discipline? How do you know who is skillful, who is not in whichever areas? So we are constantly innovating and experimenting to make this more fun, to make it what the consumers enjoy doing. So we introduced assessments which are game based. We are after the happy classroom. So we are also introducing social learning because young people, they love to interact and learn from each other. We also are creating success stories of our high performing peers, and they become our facilitators either through videos or in person. That's working beautifully. And also the whole query platform, we have something called Uttar, so where people get their answers just by clicking and getting into it, and it's working beautifully well for us. And then now, as I said, we are embarking on social learning and ask an expert. It's a platform, so whoever is an expert, all names are there. Wherever you wish to discuss, have some mentoring time and coaching, so go ahead and get mentored, right? And no holds barred. So it is really about building a learning culture, using the whole digital model. So we are also just another example. So communication is again a very big project for us because confidence is what makes all the difference. So we embarked on this project called Sampark, which is all technology led learning. So, of course, there will be some VILTs, there'll be some, doubt clarifying classes. But if I have to get better with the write well, speak well, or converse well parts of communication, the process that we have is all technology led. So, for 3 months, I get to practice on my own, other than doubt clearing and classroom sessions. I get to practice on my own in my own space where no one's watching me, no one's observing me. I know where I am. There is a pre assessment again, and I know where I need to go, and I know what my gaps are. And there are enablers in classroom, BILTs, and doubt clearing. But practice communication. Imagine, you don't want to expose yourself in front of others, but you practice it through a platform in your own space, own time for 3 months and get better. And so we have got some of the apps introduced, which are one of the world's first. We also hence allow a lot of new partners, who have done good job. We said, come research with us. We are your first guinea pig, and we're okay to take those risks. Of course, we do a lot of due diligence and we work with them before we go live. So this technology platform based learning is also enabling us a lot. So that's we are trying to get more and more 360 and holistic in our approach, be it with assessments, be it with our classrooms, be it with the various forms of digital platforms, and also democratizing learning uh, as well. Yeah.
Great, great. I think what really brings out is, of course, Sampark and Uttar are some names, and that will stay with me for a long time. Great, great to understand that the entire, when we move from the, like you rightly said, last year was one big one for all of us. There were a lot of changes, but you moved on at time with agile, with your team in an agile manner, and that relationship building that you spoke about, that shows when you say that your entire team was with you and you all work together to see how you can bring that element of learning, continue with it, and bring out the fun element also to make it interesting for the consumers, right? Great points over there again, Karmistha. As a CLO, I would like to understand from you, what are, according to you, the key skills that would be necessary for anyone, like especially for women, if they are looking out for leadership positions, like when we are talking about women of the future, and when we are talking about the learning and the key skills, what do you think are the key skills required to be in that leadership positions?
First is, we have to learn to go easy. First is we have to learn to calm down so that people also feel natural and easy in our presence. So I would say that is really the starting point. No one should feel uncomfortable or threatened or unsure. Or, if you're too soft, they can feel unsure. If you're too strong, people can feel threatened. But if you are natural and easy, then they also feel natural and easy. So I think that's the first step. That's really the first step. Your own being, I would say. Bring the being. Many a times we get a little too worried about, oh my God, the task right. So, and I also learned this from one of the leaders in one of my earlier organization, who is now the managing director of that organization, a very large Indian conglomerate. So when I joined that place, he said, don't run right now. First, build relationships, right? And I'm like, yeah, but you're going to measure me now. What have I delivered? So he said, figure that out. But first, big relationships. Yes, of course, we're not going to wait for you perennially. But what you do is up to you. But first, relationships. And how you balance that out is up to you. So I thought that was a great perspective. And it took me a little while to figure that out, what that means. But once started moving in that direction, it's a lot of fun. One we may say, when we have relationships with networks, even when you are doing missteps, even if you're going slow sometimes, even if everything is not working out fine, they would, the reality. But no one takes support away from you, and people either would remain positive on the positive things, or they'll at best be neutral. And but relationships I've seen gives you back more than what the in people's mind we are adding more value than in reality it may be, but which is a good situation to be in, because then there is positive energy. So second is relationship building. Relationship building. Third is authenticity. People should be able to trust you, and that does not mean that you're only saying good things, or you are only like challenging. So how do you bring balance in the conversation? So I think having authentic conversations all the time is another very, very important. See, the first, all these three things now are really about getting accepted as a leader. So once we get accepted, then the rest is easier. But if our acceptance does not happen, then everything seems like an Herculean task. And then I would say the fourth is, your subject matter expertise. You're really being able to deliver what you're promising and creating some differentiations at least, or distinctiveness. That's the second part. Third, I would say is generating goodwill, because there you are not only delivering and focusing on what you are supposed to do for your function. You should look like as a leader who care for the organization as a whole, and you are constantly understanding the business and also are in touch with the pains of the people. So whenever I join a place, and especially in Access, I mean, immersion is the name of the game. I read about it. Many other leaders have done that, have experienced it. So it's so beautiful. So I traveled the length and breadth of the country. I did mystery audits. I spoke to people across lengths. I still talk to people whenever I get a chance. There are many people there on my phone, etc. So understanding the organization, immersing in it, you build a very natural connect. Then that's where the authenticity comes from. You don't have to fake it anymore. People get it because you are in it. You know what you're talking, where you're coming from. So immersion, and really caring for two things. One is what you are supposed to deliver your function and beyond. Once we are immersed, we are also impacting things beyond which we don't realize. And then new things also come and sit with you, which you never thought was a part of your role. But then it comes to you saying, can you do this for me? Or can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? You start getting pulled. And when that starts happening, then you know you are on the right track. So get connected with the business and the people, and your care for people has to come out constantly, right? And the other two, I've said, go easy with your being. Second is relationships, authenticity, and those conversations. And the third, I would say, maybe in any order, they possibly run in parallel, is really about immersion, connect to the business and its people, and know the language and do the language and be the language of business and its people both, and create win-win all the time.
Right. I think, Karvista, it just boils down to sometimes we get so focused on our KRAs, right? We forget that sometimes it's more about connecting, like you rightly said, about that human relationship, bringing in that being human. That should come out naturally. And I think it takes me back to the, line that you are very close to about saying that mind of a transformer and, heart of a care with a caring heart. It truly brings about the changes that you look out for, and that speaks a lot, that speaks a volume about the entire work and the way you have built up relationships. Also something which you spoke about in your journey, there was a small break that you had to take. You spoke about how your kids and your the school had asked you, and you took some break for 3-4 months, but you didn't really take a break. You were doing something at that point also, right? What will be your message for all those women out there? Many of us go through this similar kind of story, right? Of taking a break, coming back, returning women, as we say, from a break. What would be your advice to them?
Yeah. So first is, Shreya, I actually didn't take a break. I just took a call that I have to make this change. And it's very funny. I took the call on July 28, 2003. And I remember telling my son's class teacher, by 1st of December 2003, I'm in a new job. And she's looking at me saying, no, 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 that's what we mean. No, don't want Carmistha. You know how we want mothers to do well and all that. I said, no, no, I know that. But I know sitting here that this is the second time we're having this conversation within a month's time. So I have to do this. And can you believe it? On 1st December 2003, I was actually in a new job of, which was more around transformation and this. So actually not a break, break I had to take in that sense. But I had to maneuver, I had to navigate, and I had to prioritize. So, for example, um, even for both my children, I had planned some breaks. For my son, I had planned at least a 1 month, 1 week break before I deliver him. But uh, nature said, "Hello, you don't need it." So uh, I don't know why. So it's constantly. So I took leave on Friday, was my last day, I thought, and next week was my due date. But Aman got delivered the Saturday or the Sunday early morning. Anantika, my daughter, I went to for an ultrasound. I remember this was 14 days her normal due date. and they actually sent me to the hospital straight from there, saying time for her to come out. So and likewise, I think those days we didn't even have 6 months break, but I was in business roles, and so within three months I was back. um, but what I've done is, I like to feel, at least that's the feedback that people give me, that the children did turn out to be good human beings first, which was, so I made the right choice for their school. See, that's a very important choice to be made, because I had those days, Shuram School, the school they went to, was not the number one day school in India. They were also fairly young school at that time. Subsequently, they became. But what friends told me that this, so they focus on creating good human beings, and they believe the background from which kids come here, they'll do fine academically, don't worry. And I love that philosophy. So making the right choice for the school. And then I remember my daughter is a younger one. When she was leaving the school, I was so sad because I'm no more a Sri Ram parent. Because that's the way the school also engaged the parents, not by sending us mailers and messages every day, but whatever touch points we had with the school, it was so authentic. So making that right choice, because children are a very important part of a woman's life. Then the second element is, so working hours and all that. So I was very clear when people would ask me that question. I said they get back home by 6:30, 6:45. They come back from school, do their homework, go out to play classes. They are back by 6:30, 6:45. Morning when they're leaving school, I'm there with them. When they come back within half an hour or so, I am back. So I always ensure that I'm close. My workplace is close from home and not far, so that within half an hour I'm back. And once I'm back, I never worked with my children on their studies, because that's why I chose a school which is not hard. And my husband was very good with projects and all. So I said, Kaushik, projects you take care, study, school takes care. I'm just going to have fun with the children once I'm back home. So our focus was more on values, what is happening, what's going on, understanding their mind, understanding their feelings, because that's what bothers them, right, at that age. So my focus squarely was on that. I would go for my beauty parlor thing, and my children would be there in the facial room with me. So I broke those kind of rules. So I told them that, my children, they would love to see me what I'm doing. Is it okay with you? And the parlor guys would say, yeah, yeah. And when they became 16, 17, they were still expecting them to come with, Ajkal bacche nahi aate. I said, ab wo bacche hai nahi. But for good 10 years, my son and my daughter both will be with me in the facial room. Then as they grew a little bit older, they would say, hum thoda coffee waffee pee ke aate hain. I said, हाँ chai, coffee, nahi, cake, wake, whatever. They would go to the mall. Then they, as they grew older, then I thought they got busy. They said, हमारा भी थोड़ा pedicure करा देना, थोड़ा massage kara dena food. So they will also have their own, network in the parlors and all. So that's how, I kept them with me. Um, then I would have my own sessions with them. And as a family, every weekend we would sit down and we would say, okay, what's gone, what we have done well, each other. We would give feedback and what we could do better. So most of my learnings in my life, what I need to do better, or to do better and change, have come through these conversations, with the family, all four of us. So that's one part of the role, but I didn't want to limit myself to just being a good mother and a good wife. So, of course, I would cook dishes over the weekends and breakfast and this thing, family meals, though we had people to take care of. So, those were the way to, sort of little things to bond. And also, I have a large extended family from both sides. So, we also decided to have a lot of fun. We would travel, we would meet families, families would come and stay over with us. uh, we would remain connected whichever part of the world we were, because I thought that's a part of our own happiness and our own energy and we also have a good group of friends with whom we partied and all of that. So we try to ensure that our home is a place where there's a lot of fun and positive energy. And I really personally believe when we live life like that, we are enjoying ourselves, our children are very happily growing in a happy environment, and then they're in a good school with good set of friends. So these some simple things and conversations, right? And when they see that their parents are also followable, they're asking questions, batao, where I can make changes. It just make things a little easier. It does not mean that there was a period of 6 7 years where suddenly from nowhere, God can't keep your life like out of trouble. So that's the time when I had a we had a huge challenging time as a family for 6, 7 years. But just because, all these foundations were in place, we could overcome some of the worst nightmares that we went through, and we came out of it by God's grace, and supporting each other. And I think we have emerged stronger and better as a family also as a result of that. So that's life.
So good to hear that about. And I think, yes, we all go through our highs and lows, but how you come out of it, that's very important. I think what I would take from this one is particularly, that keep it easy. Just don't stress yourself. Keep it easy and let it just flow, and things will come to you, and things will happen to you, right? And with all those, things that you have spoken throughout this conversation, in fact, very frankly, Karmistha, I can go on and on talking like this with you and have this conversation going. But I am also cognizant about the time factor. So I do not want to miss out on asking this question before we move on to the audience questions. There are some questions from the audience also. But before that, I want to ask this question particularly. And this is closely related with the book that has been written by Anuranjita, the CEO and the founder of WiTalks. Okay, it covers almost all the points that you have spoken about in today's conversation. The clarity of what you're doing, the choices that you make, the confidence that you have in yourself, the connect that is very important, how you collaborate with people and make it happen. All of these things. So the book name is Can I Have It All? Okay. So I would like to ask you, what do you have to say about this? How does this come to you? What is that it for you in this?
See, I mean, also this whole debate started when Indra Nui also, sort of talked about it. And I've also been inspired by many women leaders. So early on in my career, so my answer is yes, you can have it all, most of it all. So that's my and that's not because of who we are. Nature actually allows us to have it all. The universe is always in abundance. It is always willing to give us whatever we wish for. You take one step, it takes 10 steps for you, right? So it has got nothing to do with me as an individual. We all are like small speck and dust in this. But the universe is in abundance, right? So one of my favorite songs was Dil Hai Chota Sa Choti Si Asha, Asman Mein Udne Ki Asha. That song from Roja. I love that song even till today, right? The tune, the music, the song, etc. Other than Zindagi Ko Dhun Mein Chala Gaya and all that. So, yeah, you can have most of it all if you have. I have a lot of faith in. I keep telling, right? मेरी जिंदगी मेरी अपनी है ही नहीं, वो चलता है अपने धुन में. जिस दिन रोक के सोचना पड़ता है सोच लेती हूँ, फिर next journey starts. So you can have it all, most of it all. Um, and I believe luck is labor under correct knowledge of self, knowing yourself, and anything else that you are picking up. You have to work at it. So when I moved from business to HR, I had to read up a lot. I had to get a lot of certifications, a lot of work I did on myself to really fit into that place. I took some crazy decisions to add to myself, to maybe 40-50% pay cuts once in my career when I did consulting for 4 5 years. Um, I was in a large corporate, but I want to do this because I said if I don't go deeper and wider in over a period of time, it'll come back to haunt me. So, so that's it. Depends on how you define. Can you have it all? If you think life is to be a trajectory constantly going up and up, never work like that. I sine curve like, or if you want to keep it stable, no. If you're like so straight, what happens? The heart machine. So it depends on what do you mean by you have it all. So if you mean by okay, by wishes I can fulfill, do I have it in me? All of us have it in us. And that's where my story on the universe happens. And there is that universe within us as well. So if we believe in it, we can always make it happen, right? And it does require, wishful thinking nahi ho sakta. Thoda efforts chahiye hoga. We have to pause and reflect and think that if I have to make this wishes of mine happen, what choices should I make? What should I go? What effort do I need to take? Right? So those are some of the things. So wishes do come true. Your wish is my command. Aladdin ka, I believe in it, and we can make it happen. But we have to put in little effort. आप एक लो तो 10 गुना reward मिलता है, I feel. So effort होना चाहिए, faith होनी चाहिए, on self and what you're doing. If you have to, and you will not be successful every time. You will fail, learn from it, and know that there's an S curve. If you've gone out, there will be a dip before you re-find yourself and go up. So are we constantly innovating? It will never be a straight curve. It will have its own ups and downs. So you have to deal with it. So if this is the way we are willing to live life, right, and uh, and know that our successes and our failures, and both are good. Success helps, gives us confidence. Failures teaches us beautifully and makes us stronger. And then there is no holding on to a wish. So that's what I have to say. It's very difficult to put it in words and feelings, but I
Yeah.
really feel that you can have it all. We restrict ourselves with our own possibilities, think possibilities. So if I ever write a book, it is going to be called Faith, Love, and Possibilities. So I'm realizing that's the way to be. Have faith in yourself and this entire system around you. Be a loving presence and believe that world is full of possibilities, infinite possibilities. Just go ahead and deep dive into it and discover the abundance and revel in it. We had
Very true.
nothing, when we came to Delhi from Calcutta, Kaushik and I.
Yeah.
Life, it just happens. Nothing. I remember we slept on mattress like for 2 months. That's because the someone was coming, and then we built everything step by step. But fun.
Completely with you on this, Karmistra. Like rightly said, right? I think we should have that limitless boundaries. We should just go out there and believe that things will happen. That faith, which you spoke about, very important. And I think our viewers will also agree. And I hope all those women or whoever are thinking about that, maybe life is tough. Life will be tough. There will be failures and success, but take everything in your stride, right? Move ahead, because there will be things happening for you. Like you rightly said, things might not always be good, but it will happen. Truly very inspiring, Karmista. Now, with the time constraint that I spoke about, we will move on to the audience, the viewer's question. And what we have over here is one of the viewer has asked, what skills do you think one must have in order to grow in the next 5 years? The viewer is very specific about, next 5 years, what are the skills that you think
Okay.
are needed?
Growth mindset,
Okay.
being humane at the core, ability to synergize to outperform, agility, and being comfortable with data and digital, and also constantly focusing on creating a sustainable self, a sustainable team, and a sustainable organization. So that is also the mindset of well-being and diversity and inclusion. So that's the sixth one I gave. So, but the top five for me are growth mindset, humane at the core, synergize or collaborate to outperform, agile in our leadership, and data and digital savvy. Um, and if you want to raise the bar further, the sixth one, then have another level of mindset to build sustainability by being more inclusive and focusing on well-being of self and others around us. And what goes without saying is our foundation is, of course, our domain expertise. And you can have expertise in multiple domains. That's possible.
True, true. I think it's all about the mindset, which starts with the mindset. And then, yes, all these pointers that you spoke about are very relevant in today's world, right? What I would like to ask next is, again, from our viewer, how does VILT and e-learning change the learning strategy? You have covered a little bit in that in our conversation, but this person wants to specifically know, what does VILT and e-learning change, how it
Yeah.
changes the learning strategy.
For us, it's a boon. It's a boon,
Right.
especially when we are managing scale. I don't think we could have managed this kind of scale without VILT. Let me
Yeah.
give some examples. So earlier, when we were doing things offline, so our induction program for a new joinee would happen anywhere within the first month to the first 3 months. We now do it in 4 days. We also get to present to them the best of the leaders from across the bank and its subsidiaries, because now no one has to travel physically, right, to be available to our people. So amazing. So we also invite some of the best global, national, and international speakers and open up the floor to 15, 20,000 people or 5,000, depending on the cohort. So I think all this is possible. We are seeing that amazing reflective sessions can also be done on VILT. Coming to e-learning or self-learning, I think it has completely changed the way we think. We are
Mm.
constantly now looking at creating even game-based learning modules, right? So where I do my self-learning. If I need to know about a product, if I need to know how to interact better with my customers, even if something boring like a process, so training. So for example, the process and compliance example, if bank, right? So compliance is very critical for us. So, but how do you really get people to practice it and for us to see are they getting there? So we created a game base. So it's like a thriller, and you have to go through various twists and turns, and then we see who comes out winning at the win as a winner at the end of it. And so I think this whole self learning, as I talked about, technology led, and even smart bite sized digital modules. I think that awareness and that push. I know we were all not wakeful before that, but with this whole new opportunity, I think giving people what they require is available. Virtual reality and mixed reality is the next that we're going to be experimenting with. So self-learning, self-paced learning, creating exciting, innovative modules, bite-size. Also, we are creating modules where people are at the customer site and they can at the click and they can find their answer then and there, or can connect with someone quickly, and all that through the app process. Um, Another thing was coming to my mind, I've forgotten. So I think exposure, higher exposure,
Mhm.
uh, we are being able to present better connectedness, better exposure, more qualified leaders from a perspective building, connect building, knowledge building perspective. We are being on the e-learning and the digital bite-sized learning. We are being able to make it more fun at the same time, learning at the click of a button, right? On the go learning.
Right.
And I get the information what I just need at that point in time. Second is, if I have to better myself at something, practice. The platforms are helping us to do that. And e-learning and platform-based learning are definitely two different things. So I would say all these are really big changes. And of course, we have partnered with some of the best online course providers, be it a Coursera, be it also Mastro is another product which is working very well for us for soft skills and behaviors, and Coursera. Maybe tomorrow, Harvard, Spark. So these things I think are again, giving a lot of this thing for us senior leaders. We are now. Today only someone was thanking us profusely, saying, "Oh, you sent us to Harvard," and sitting in India. So all the global organizations now are doing online courses, which come at a much lesser cost and less hassle, but you still get a live online experience with global peers. Excellent feedback. Leaders are starting at 7:30 in the evening, including our MD, finishing at like 12:30 in the night after their full days, and it's working great for them because it's not coming in the middle of the day, and the end of the day they're doing this and getting that global exposure sitting here. Can you imagine? No
Yeah.
travel hassles, nothing. Out of 60 leaders who we are exposing this to, only one has requested to travel and do it. And one had said, no, I can't do it. And so late night. But that's okay. That tells you life is not 100% perfection, and we don't need to, and we're fine with that. But the rest are, including them, they're just so committed and elated and excited. Someone said, "Arey, मेरा तो session 9:30 शुरू हुआ, 4:30 खत्म हुआ, मैंने तो on the morning." But I told my office to shift all my meetings. Oh, this is so good for this 5 days. So it's a very exciting world. It's a very, very
Very,
exciting.
very true. I think one positive outcome of the pandemic,
Sorry,
it
just to hasten to it, I myself did
yeah.
something,
Oh,
learned,
wow.
invested my own learning last week, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. for 5 days, including Saturday, Sundays. Uske baad, I had to do practice coaching sessions till 12:31. If you
Wow.
asked me a year back, I was postponing the same thing for the last 2 years. And this time I said, no, I'll make it happen despite having busy schedules, busy days, or ho gaya. So,
Yes.
and this was again,
I
an
think that's
international
great, great.
program with
Correct.
25 other participants. We've made friends for life.
I think it's great. That's what I was just saying, that the positive, few of the positive outcomes of the pandemic, it has brought all of us closer in terms of, you spoke about, right, training programs. You can get it anywhere from anywhere in the world. So that's the best part of it. You can get your leaders to talk to your new joinees. So which probably was not really easy or unthinkable in the beginning. So I agree with you. And also somewhere the learners' autonomy, right? They are well equipped to go on self-paced, go onto their platforms, learn whenever they get the time. So definitely it has made things very easy for all the learners out there and opened a big platform for all of us to learn.
Yeah.
So I know that the time is clicking, ticking on, and we have very short. So I would like to ask you the last question that has come again from the audience. Your leadership mantra. After hearing all your talk about, I'm sure that it will be largely based on the well-being, and all, but we still want to hear your leadership mantra.
Do I have a mantra? I'm just wondering. I would say be
What comes
sincere.
from? Yeah.
I would say be sincere. Uh, be boundaryless,
Mhm.
and mindset of leaving a legacy.
Okay. I think that's a great learning for all our viewers. Sincere, boundaryless, be boundaryless, and mindset to leave a legacy. I I think this has been a truly inspiring session, and I really truly want to thank you for this, Karmistha. I myself, when I interacted and when I started posing that question, I was completely immersed. That immersed part that happened with me in your talks, and really a lot to learn from this session. I'm sure that viewers also have to say the same. Thank you very much for your time, for being here in this Wit Talk series. Anything from
Th-
your side? Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much, Shreya. And I think you have been an amazing moderator, and I have to acknowledge you for that.
thank you
And
so
I
much.
must
You're
I
kind.
must convey that I don't necessarily enjoy every session that I do these days as much as I enjoyed
Oh,
myself.
that
So
means
thanks
a lot.
for
Thank you so
putting me at
much.
ease. And this happened just by being who you are, is what I feel. And I would also like to thank my friend Jaskiran Mehta for getting me to
No,
do this, because every time we speak we also discover a part of us which is unknown to us. So thanks for
correct.
helping me with that discovery. And the last question that you asked, it helped me put together something which I had not
Yes,
thought of. So thanks, Jazz. We call her Jazz. And thank
yes.
you, Anamika, for bearing with me with all the changes and everything else. It's been a pleasure. And I wish all of you all the best in whatever you take up in life. You guys would rock
In fact,
for sure.
yeah, thank you so much. We do need that. And in fact, let me tell you, there are a lot of points that I'm taking from this session personally. I'm sure that the viewers also have made their list. Well-being, top of over there, understanding your self-worth, being sincere, being natural, what you spoke about, the immersing yourself, all these pointers are there. In fact, I made notes, to take it back for myself, not for anyone else, but for myself. So our conversation here doesn't end over here, Karmistha. I will definitely look out to connect with you very soon. And on that note, I would like to say thank you very much to all our viewers also out there for being with us, and we look forward to your participation again for the next WiTalk series that will come up very soon. Thank you so much, Carmistha.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Sorry, I
Thank you
just
all.
opened something. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.